Like a lot of great art, the following program contains nudity, so viewer discretion is advised.
Exclusively on ESPN Plus, UFC 313, Saturday. Reigning light heavyweight champion Alex Pereira defends his title against number one contender Magomed Ankalaev, and an explosive lightweight bout between Justin Gaethje and Rafael Fiziev. UFC 313, Saturday at 10 p.m. Eastern. Buy it on ESPNplus.com/PPV.
This episode is brought to you by Coffee Mate. After watching this season of the HBO's original series, The White Lotus, this is the tropical getaway I needed. One more pina colada, please.
Hey, you're not on mute.
Oh, I thought I was in paradise. Turns out, it was my Coffee Mate. Coffee Mate Pina Colada and Thai-iced coffee-flavored creamers. Inspired by the newest season of HBO's original series, The White Lotus. For the love of coffee. Try now.
Spanning the globe to bring you the latest in classic rock news and comment. It's the Classic Guitar Rock Daily Update with your host, Jeremy Lunnan.
It's time. Welcome to the sometimes daily update from Classic Guitar Rock. I'm Jeremy. Thank you for being here. Let me just say this: sponsorship opportunities abound. If you'd like to become a sponsor on CGR Radio, it's a great opportunity. You know, we've been on the air for 1 month. And the trend, obviously, we're gaining more listeners all the time. So if you've got and I'm completely serious here, if you've got a product or service that you market online or to an online audience, particularly a predominantly male, over 45, that's the lion's share of our demo, male over 45, which is a very desirable demographic because there's disposable income there. If you've got a product or service that you market to that group, let's talk. You'll be amazed at how, I don't want to use the word cheap, but how cheap it is to advertise on Classic Guitar Rock Radio. I mean, it's a no-brainer. So shoot me an email, classicguitarrock@mail.com. Let's do business. Let's do some business together. Anyways, let's hop into our update. Now, I saw this headline. There's a rapper, never heard of him, not big in the rap myself, a rapper named Osama San. I don't know how you pronounce it. He's being sued by Iron Maiden. And the headline just said, "I'm being sued by Iron Maiden." And my first initial response was, oh no, not a good look for Iron Maiden. Here's this big, wealthy, successful band who's suing some poor, struggling, independent artist. Well, until you read the story. So basically, this dude takes Eddie from the Power Slave era, the World Slavery Tour picture of Eddie. I'm trying to describe this. It's the one where you see Eddie from the waist up and he's like biting through a chain, and he's wrapped like a mummy and he's biting through a chain. Well, this dude, he literally takes that image and then just kind of doctors it up. It's the same image. He just has changed the colors on it, basically. So he posts on his social media, Iron Maiden is suing me, so I have to change the cover. But I want you to think about the chess, the 3D chess this young rapper is playing. It's actually brilliant when you think about it. Okay? It's brilliant. So back I think in February, he released his album. What's it called? Flex Music is the name of the album. He released it way back in February. No one has heard of him. I haven't heard of him. Have you heard of him? Maybe he's big in rap. I don't know. I've never heard of him. So here's what he does. Here's what I'm thinking might have been the strategy. I'm going to release this album cover knowing that at some point Iron Maiden's going to become aware of this and they will threaten to sue me. So what does that do? Well, all of a sudden he's in the news. People are talking about him. How many people do you think are going to check out his album based on, and all he does, he'll just change the cover. And Iron Maiden would say, okay, change the cover. We won't sue you. Pretty easy. Great way to garner some marketing. So the wheels are turning in my mind. Who can I get to sue me in the next little while that will just bring attention to me, right? Bad publicity is better than no publicity. I'm just saying, brilliant marketing move by Osama-san. But yeah, it's a blatant ripoff. He just took Eddie and changed the colors of it, basically, and then puts it on his album. So, I mean, I don't blame Iron Maiden for suing, but I also don't blame young Osama-san for doing this because it's brilliant. How many people are hearing about him now because this threat of being sued by Iron Maiden? It's brilliant. Marlon, thanks for checking in. Marlon's here, and also Know Your Joe is here. Hi, Know Your Joe. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. Let's talk about John Lennon. John Lennon's widow and his son, Sean, have announced a new way of meditating via 9 alternate versions of the ex-Beatles 1973 song, Mind Games. I know I'm going to get heat when I say this. I just am. John Lennon's solo material is about the third best of the former Beatles. I have to say it. Completely overrated as a solo artist. Paul's way better. George's is better than John's solo stuff. Mind Games as a song sucks. I have, and don't throw me Imagine. Okay, Imagine's okay. Kind of creepy, actually, if you really read the lyrics. But I mean, that's the one song that you could say was a great song. And I understand why people think it's great, even though it's creepy. Yeah, just overrated as a solo artist. And I love the Beatles. Don't get me wrong, guys. John's solo catalog just ain't that great. I got to say it. Bruce K also checking in. Hi, Bruce. Thanks for being here. So anyways, I'm sorry. I went down a rabbit hole here. So there's this app, and I've seen advertisements for it. It's called Luminate. And Luminate is one of these apps that's supposed to help you meditate and get in a better space and all of this. So this Illuminate app is using these 9 different alternate versions of the song Mind Games, which again is not a great song. Let's see. The music is available via the Luminate phone app to mark Mental Health Awareness Month. The track list available below, well, it would be if you were reading this, includes the 5-minute Spirit, which makes use of beta waves, and the 33-minute Peace. These are all variations of Mind Games, which again is a pretty weak track. And it takes care of these or utilizes gamma, delta, and theta waves along with binaural effects. That's supposed to make you feel all cool, groovy, far out, man. Marlon says Paul is better than John. I agree. Quote, each of the meditation mixes has been paired with a unique, deeply immersive light sequence using carefully selected flicker frequencies to accompany the mind and mood-altering sound. These singular mind-altering sequences elevate the musical journey, deepen the sense of relaxation, and allow users to see, hear, and feel the music like never before. Far out, man. So, it's cool. So Sean Lennon says, I think our Mind Games project is fun, meaningful, and potentially mind-expanding. I've been using the Luminate app for my own personal meditation since it launched and have had many profound experiences. My father was famously into meditation. I remember trying the flicker machine he kept in the bedroom, which is what first introduced me to the idea of stroboscopic brainwave induction. I thought it made sense to combine the music of Mind Games with the science of Luminate. I really hope people enjoy the result as much as I have. What he didn't say out loud was, plus it's a way for me to milk my dad's music for even more money. Okay, Vince Neil doesn't expect Motley Crue to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame anytime soon. Surprise. Right? And I agree. I know I poke fun at Motley Crue, but Motley Crue, absolutely, they should already be in there. I mean, Green Day went in their first year, right? Motley Crue should absolutely be in there. I don't know why they're not. Again, you know how I feel about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It's a joke. He says, I think it would be pretty cool to be inducted, but we'll probably be dead when they induct us. Tommy Lee, who was actually joining him for the interview, he says, it's weird. It's one of those things where you're like, oh, that would be so effing rad. He said that, rad. That would be so effing rad, the drummer noted. And then it's a weird double-edged thing because at one point it was like, whoa, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And then over the years, there's been a bunch of people getting inducted into that. I don't know. Sometimes you're like, huh? How's that possible? Or I'm not sure that this quite fits or whatever. And so then you're like, yeah, maybe it's not that cool. But if the fans think it's cool, then it's cool. Some sad news to get to. Electric Light Orchestra keyboardist Richard Tandy has died at the age of 76. Jeff Lynne posted a brief statement. It says, quote, it is with great sadness that I share the news of the passing of my longtime collaborator and dear friend Richard Tandy. He was a remarkable musician and friend, and I'll cherish the lifetime of memories we had together, sending all my love to Sheila and the Tandy family, end quote. I would highly recommend that you do a deep dive into ELO. Go back and listen to ELO. I was aware of them on the mainstream stuff, obviously in the late 70s. But they're one of these bands that I've really grown to appreciate. I really like Jeff Lynne. I really like ELO. So sad to see the passing of Richard Tandy. The chat's going crazy here. Let's see. Bruce says, but were they trying to compete or just endeavor in the solo projects market? Remember, I just said something snarky how I thought John was about third of the Beatles. And I don't know if they're trying to compete with each other. I'm not sure. But my personal preference is I like Paul's solo stuff the best, then George's, then John's, and then Ringo down below. And then Know Your Joe says, how can they not already have been inducted? He's talking about Motley Crue. It is wrong. It's crazy. And that's a recurring theme here on the Classic Guitar Rock Daily Update. Roos! How do you say that? Don't bring me down. Is that what they're saying? Roos? I always thought it was Bruce, and I was wondering, who's Bruce? I don't know. Yeah, ELO is great. Love ELO. You should definitely check them out. Do a deep dive. Also, some sad news. And this was a very influential person. And by the way, Marlon said it very well here. He says, ELO music makes me happy. I agree. I love ELO. I love listen. On the one hand, it's almost like, some of it's almost like bubblegum music. It's so up tempo. But it works so well. It's beautiful. Mr. Sunshine. How can you not be happy when you listen to songs like that? But I love them. I love them. Okay. Duane Eddy has passed away. Let me tell you a bit about Duane Eddy. I had this album called Dick Clark's 25 Years of Rock and Roll. And it came out in like 1973. Actually, one of my older sisters got it for Christmas one year, and she kind of listened to it, but I loved it. And at some point, I guess I just stole it from her because it wound up in my record collection, and I still have it to this day. And it's basically like it's a 2-album LP, and it starts in about 1953, which I guess is when Dick considered rock and roll started. And it goes up to, at the time, like 1973. Wait, no, it starts in 50. Maybe it came out in 75. Anyways, it was 25 years of rock and roll. Maybe it's only 20 years. I don't remember. It was a Dick Clark record, right? But one of my favorite songs on that album was Duane Eddy playing Rebel Rouser. Bow now now. Bow now now now. Bow now now now. Bow now. I mean, it was from the 50s, so it was pre-surf, right? But you could tell that was kind of the template for a lot of the instrumental stuff. Think of the Ventures, think of the Shadows, think of all those great instrumental guitar bands of the 60s. Duane, I don't think it would have happened without Duane Eddy. Well, Duane Eddy, and he has been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, obviously, as he should have been, died peacefully on April 30th, surrounded by family members in Franklin, Tennessee. He was inducted in 1994, and the hit Rebel Rouser was an influential instrumental that showcased his twangy guitar sound. Eddy was born in New York in 1938, began playing guitar when he was 5. By 1955, he was living in Phoenix and began a long association with producer and songwriter Lee Hazelwood. His first record was in 1955 as Jimmy and Duane. Richie Blackmore actually posted on his social media yesterday, quote, "Just heard about the passing of the wonderful Duane Eddy, who was my first guitar idol with songs like Rebel Rouser, Shazam, Some Kind of Earthquake. I would always rush out and buy his long playing records. My favorite all-time tune from him was The Lonely One. He was a brilliant guitarist in his own right. He was the first guitar player with that deep bass sound, which I loved. Unfortunately, I never saw him live, although I tried to see him playing on a couple of occasions. One particular time when I was 12, I went to London Airport to meet him. I sat there for hours waiting so I could get a glimpse of him. After 2 to 3 hours, I asked the ground staff what time his plane would be in, as it was obviously delayed. They told me his plane actually came in early and I missed him. That was my first of many futile attempts to see him, but I would play his music night and day." A lot of folks from Richie's generation, think of the guys that came up in the 60s. Richie Blackmore, Jimmy Page, even guys like Hendrix and Clapton, they will often cite Duane Eddy as a major influence. He was maybe that first guitar instrumental guy. So our condolences to the family of Duane Eddy. Well, guys, that's what I got for you today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, let me give you a plug. Check out Classic Guitar Rock Radio. You can go to the website, classicguitarrock.com. You can link to both the radio station and the podcast there. Oh, and by the way, I've put up a blog page. The whole Classic Guitar Rock empire started as a lame blog back in like 2011. And I used to write all kinds of blog pieces. So what I'm doing, I'm basically just reposting a lot of the album reviews and things I did on my blog to the blog section of classicguitarrock.com. So you can go check those out, read those, respond to those, whatever. I'd love for you to check that out. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll do it again tomorrow, hopefully, right here. It's the Classic Guitar Rock Daily Update. See you guys. Live long and prosper. Bye-bye.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
Thanks for listening. You can email Jeremy at classicguitarrock@mail.com.
Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
Tune in each weekday for the Classic Guitar Rock Daily Update.